everybody. As Robert mentioned, my name is David O'Reilly. I'm the Senior Director of Sales for Globalization Partners here in EMEA. And I think it's actually a nice segue from Wendy's presentation, where she's really talking around, the things that are really important to potential candidates and employees in the modern workplace. And, well-being and diversity and how we reward people is something that's really top of mind. And what's really come to the fore in the last couple of years is the desire for people to want to work remotely as well, and to have that flexibility. So we're going to talk a little bit around that today, and I know that what I'm covering might potentially be a controversial subject, particularly with a lot of recruiters in the room and people who are probably banging their heads off desks every single day trying to find people in various different roles. But what we believe and what we're going to talk about today a little bit is around why we at Globalization Partners believe that the global talent shortage is a myth. So, just to introduce myself a little bit, as I said, my name is David O'Reilly. I am the Senior Director of Sales for EMEA for Globalization Partners. I joined the business just recently in January 2022 to help really grow and scale our operations here in EMEA. I previously spent 8 years at Indeed here in Dublin as one of the first employees in our original Grand Canal office dock. Then I was in Stephen's Green and then back to Grand Canal and then worked at home for a couple of years. So the opportunity to move to Globalization Partners was really a great chance for me to continue to work in two areas that I have a real passion, which is technology and people. So it's great to be here today to be able to speak in front of everybody in the room. So look, over the last 2 years, what we've really noticed and what's really happened is that companies have had to adopt a remote work model, and it's sort of been forced upon the world. So it's really sped up and accelerated something that was really coming over the next 10 or 15 years. And how people adapt and how companies adapt to that now is going to be really, really important. There's a great opportunity now for companies to fill their workforce skills gaps to attract talent regardless of their location. One of the greatest challenges companies face nowadays is how to attract the best talent, how to approach the hiring process, and how to build remote global teams to be able to attack that challenge. As I said, talent shortage is a myth, might be a controversial subject, but where there is talent available, we just want to make sure that we can help companies be there just to start thinking differently. So whilst you may feel that in the areas that you're looking or in the locations where you're actually trying to recruit, there may be talent shortages, or where you can actually legally find people based on where your entities are, we're able to help you think differently about that, and we want people to start thinking differently about that. Location disruption driven by the pandemic is one of the primary factors that's causing employees now to leave their jobs, creating local talent hubs and local opportunities in various regions. So thinking back to the start of the pandemic, one of the things that we really saw was two things. One, the opportunity to now find talent and attract talent in new places, but also the challenge of retaining talent. A lot of people, when the opportunity or when the enforced opportunity of having to work from home was put upon people, a lot of people, particularly in global companies, wanted to move back to the country that they came from. They wanted to move home. They wanted to move somewhere closer to where they felt comfortable. Look, if I'm working from home, why don't I do it from there? And a lot of companies supported that, and a lot of companies helped drive that, but what that meant was they ran into challenges that they weren't aware of. You have to have legal entities in certain regions. You have to be able to support that. And quite often now, a lot of those people maybe actually don't want to go back to where they were before. People talk about the Great Resignation, right? It's one of the things that's driving that. Okay, I know you can't support me here. I know you can't legally let me work here, but I don't really want to go back to where I was before. I'm happy here now. And what you have is this diaspora of talent being spread into various locations, whereas before it may have been located in tech hubs like Dublin. Okay, you want these tech salespeople, you want the tech hubs, they're in one place. Those people have moved. It doesn't mean that there's a shortage of them. We just have to think differently now about how we find them and how we're able to onboard them and bring them through. So with that in mind, we think really about where that talent is in the world. So there are companies that are thriving in the talent market, and there are plenty out there. And these are the ones that have completely embraced remote working. So in this area, the talent pool has significantly expanded. And I like to refer to the talent shortage as a perceived talent shortage. Look, we understand that going global can be a very challenging step. However, it's a critical one to ensure company survival and great performance in 2022 and beyond. So, how do people do it? So look, with the right AI-enabled global employment platform, with the right technology, expanding internationally doesn't actually have to be that scary, right? I know there's a lot of thought needs to go in and there's a lot of work, and it's potentially quite a scary prospect to have to think about moving into new regions and moving into new entities just to be able to accommodate that talent and where it might be, rather than now trying to convince them to come and work for you wherever you may be. So going global can enable companies to identify international talent hubs filled with top-tier skilled workers in lower-cost jurisdictions. That's really important to remember as well, right? There's an opportunity now for you to be able to find these people in areas where it may not cost as much money as it might have done before. So what are some of the most common obstacles that we see when we talk about this growth? So look, let's say, for example, and let's really, really believe that that talent shortage is a myth. Okay, what's the first thing you need to think about? You need to think about choosing the right country that you're going to move into. And there's a lot of thought that goes into that, right? So with 195 plus countries in the world, you need to really consider where would you actually go and how would you actually go about that. So it isn't an easy task unless you have the right support. So with the right partner, you can yield multiple benefits for your company. Going global with the right partner can allow you to have success and allow you to have access to global talent hubs, local HR expertise, and the ability to onboard legally and compliantly quickly people in regions where you wouldn't have got access to that talent previously. So as I said, the first obstacle is really to think about what country to go into. So conduct market research. Really try and identify where the market, the talent, and the revenue opportunity is there. Identify talent hubs that will allow you to easily build your international remote teams. Calculate the cost of labor, right? It's really important. How much is it going to cost to move into this market? Have I considered everything? What are the social charges? What are the employer burden charges? Is there anything else for me to consider there before I look at moving into a new region? And does it make sense from a cost versus ROI perspective? And then identify things like language barriers, okay? How do you want your teams to be able to communicate to each other? Do you want everybody to be able to communicate effectively, or are you willing to look at bilingual people and looking for people who will be able to support different languages within your teams? Another thing to consider before you think about moving into these other countries is, do you want to actually have an entity there, or do you want to be able to just legally and compliantly employ people there? And there's a lot of challenges that come with entity setup. So a lot of the businesses that we speak to every single day are actually weighing up that decision. And it wasn't an option that was always there. Previously, if you wanted to move into a country or you wanted to move to where the tech talent was, you needed an entity and you needed to be able to legally pay people and employ people in that region. There's other options like, contractors, freelancers and things like that. But if you want to be able to compete for talent, again, thinking about what Wendy said before, about the things that are important to people, having them on a contractor model, not being able to offer benefits, them not actually really feeling like they're part of the organization is not always necessarily the way you want to go. So setting up an entity may be an option, but there's challenges to that as well. Labor laws vary from country to country. Hiring and firing practices vary. Benefits vary. Statutory policies vary. So it's critical to ensure that all global employment contracts are legally compliant, as well as making sure that you have people on the ground there who have the expertise who can help you navigate all those things. So for this reason, companies require country-specific legal counsel, country-specific HR expertise to be able to allow them to manage all that. So even if you do find a country that you want to move into and you want to set up an entity, that takes time. And that takes a lot of expertise on the ground. And if there's a market opportunity where you see a revenue opportunity, or if a competitor moves into a space or into a region to get there ahead of you and gather up some market share, and you want to be able to compete for that, having to take the time that it takes to set up an entity, to get feet on the ground, to get legal people on the ground, to understand that market and have that HR expertise means that you can lose critical time in what can be a very fast-paced competitive environment. So for this reason, as I said, we're able to think about ways that we can help you look at that. So how do we help you do that? And what's a way to look at that? And how can you find and hire the best talent? So with Globalization Partners, what we have is an AI-enabled global employment technology. And with our system, and with the support of our specialists and our in-house legal and our in-house HR specialists around the world, what we can do is we can help you very quickly, legally and compliantly, hire and onboard people anywhere in the world. So all the challenges that come with entity setup, all the challenges that you face around trying to get into a market, trying to set people on the ground, trying to generate legally compliant contracts, trying to understand exactly how you can onboard talent and find people in the region. Simple things like setting up bank accounts can sometimes take months. We're able to very, very quickly support you and get you into a region, accelerate revenue, gain access to talent, and not lose talent. In some countries, such as China, for example, it can take up to 9 months to have an entity set up. There's a lot of processes and a lot of things you have to go through. A lot of the companies we speak with every day, when they're considering the entity setup, haven't considered the time and cost involved. And again, mentioning that competitive advantage piece, if you're trying to get into a market and trying to beat a competitor into that space, taking 9 months to set that entity up and have everything in place can lose you critical time in revenue acceleration. Those same people that you have on the ground that you want to legally employ, we can have them onboarded legally, compliantly, with payroll, benefits, any statutory benefits, HR advice and legal advice in country in a matter of days. It's very, very simple to use, very, very straightforward, and it means that you essentially, from your office in Dublin, from your office in EMEA, can legally and compliantly onboard people anywhere in the world without having to have an entity there. The other thing that we have at the moment that we're really, really proud of is our new product called GP Recruit. And with GP Recruit, what you can do is use the platform to not only onboard people, but actually find talent in the regions where you're looking to hire and onboard them. So our platform works with multiple partners around the world where you can access the platform, identify talent in a region, at the click of a button, onboard that person into the system. They become somebody who works for you. You control everything from time management, payroll approval, expense management, day-to-day workings, terminations is all within your control like any other employee, and you get them onboarded and into your system very, very quickly. So with GP Recruit, you can access an unrivaled selection of recruiting specialists to find the talent based on their unique requirements, whether that's location, job experience, previous role, anything like that. So what we really want to do here at Globalization Partners is actually, as it says, be a partner for you in going global. And in the next few years, as this really, really accelerates, the companies that use systems like ours and partner with companies like us will retain more talent, they'll hire faster, and they'll succeed faster. Thank you very much. My name is David O'Reilly, as I said, and we're outside at one of the stands at stand 5, I believe, so please come and speak to us at any point during the day. And look, find me on LinkedIn, globalization-partners.com, and I'd love to hear from anybody who's excited to go global with us. Thank you very much.